Thank you so much for staying tuned. Yes, when it happened in Venezuela, they came out massively to say, no, Maduro, who did you consult to add money to the fuel pump price? Who did you consult to say, look, Venezuelans need to pay something to cushion the economic effect? All right, haven't done that. Libya, you know their case already. And straight down to France. Something happened. And there was an increase in fuel pump price, and that made the cities in France to go up in flames. Literally, I saying people like protesting, started putting on yellow shirts to say, look, we're against you and your government, Macron. For that reason, until you do something tangible, substantiative, we will not back down. Property has been destroyed, some lives been lost in cause of this protest. What do you think are the implications of this? Who are those behind it? Who stands to lose if this protest should persist? All these and more we'll take a look at on the discussion segment. Here in the studio, I have a legal practitioner, a political analyst. Join me. Welcome, Barrister Osazuwa Osahan. Welcome to the show, sir.
It is my pleasure.
Appreciate your coming.
Thanks for having me.
All right, you've seen the next man sitting close to him is no other person than Ambassador Amos, a clergyman, a political analyst, local and international politics. He's well grounded. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I appreciate you coming. You can extend a handshake to Barrister Sazua. Here we are, a country known for culture, a country known for art, a country known for tranquility, peace, and calmness, a country known for joy. Ecstasy right now is in flames. And it happened in time of a person or someone that the whole world seems to be well pleased with when he came into power. No other person than Emmanuel Macron of France. I don't know. How do you view this? Just a hike in fuel pump price. And we saw citizens of France, various cities, Paris, Bordeaux, Rennes, you just name it, up in flames just for that singular act. Let me start off from you, Ambassador Amos. What do you feel about all this development in France?
By the way, when people go on strike, it's just to show their grievances. If what the policy you are trying to put in play is not appreciated by the people, that's why the best way they feel they can revolt or to make their point known is to come out. Peaceful demonstration. But nothing goes for free like that. Definitely, once there is a demonstration, there are some people who are angry or much angrier than you, want to take opportunity of that to destroy things. You might say, oh, let's go, let's carry a placard and demonstrate what we are having. There's no light in those states. Let's carry a peaceful demonstration. There are some people, opportunity for them. Let me vest my anger now. Let me destroy this house. Let me destroy this bus. Let me burn tires. They will hijack it from you. Now, the reason why the president increased it, that price has been stable for some time. If you look at the percentage of the increase, it's not much. It's just a slight, and it has a reason for him to increase it. And that's why the people just think, no, we don't want it to, this is this and that. When it started like a peaceful demonstration, that's at now. I think by now, he's meeting with some leaders. He asked them to come for a meeting, but some of them boycotted the meeting. Why? And even those in this yellow, all of them say, no, we don't want it. We don't want to hear your reason. We don't want to, but well, as a democratic elected president, he's there because of the people, and he wants to exercise his rights as a president because the people elected him. He wants to listen. That negotiation is still going on. If it will come to play or not. But for now, as I'm talking to you, it has been suspended till January. So that is why they are just still watching. And mind you, when it started, about 400 people were arrested. And not talking about other casualties. I think about last week or by Saturday or so, about 36,000 people came out to the street again. One thing about these white men, if they just hear any small pen, everybody, it triggers them up. No, we don't like it, because this is the way we want to do. Thank God. God has so blessed Nigeria. We don't have that kind of mindset that everybody must go to one way.
All right.
If not, let them come and take a lesson from us.
Okay, all right. I'll come back to you, Ambassador Amos. Barrister Sazua, you were saying something off camera, but I don't know if you can still remember what you talked about, the hike in fuel pump price and, of course, Macron's reaction. From what you saw, with that little increment in fuel pump price in France, is it enough for the citizens of France to come out in such a number to start causing mayhem in that once peaceful city?
Thank you very much. It's not what happened in France since November 17th, when the riot started. It's not just a mere reaction to the very slight, minimal, and if you ask me, inconsequential rise in fusel fuel. It has more to do with the perception of the French president himself, Emmanuel Macron. How does the average Frenchman sees his president? They think he's aloof, they think he's insensitive, and they think he's a president for the rich. It's not just, like I said, not just the increase in fuel. It started little by little. Here is a man who ran on a platform of reforms, that so many changes need to be effected if France is to take a rightful place amongst the Committee of Nations. If France is to become a truly world power again, that the system was archaic, that the pension system needed to be reformed, that welfare needed to be looked into, that so many things needed to be done. And that he said, and this, of course, for the past 40 years, there has been no major reforms in France because of the reaction of the people. Because France itself is known for rioting. Any small thing, they take to the streets. It is in the very blood of the average Frenchman, all through ages, starting from the French Revolution, with the immortal slogan of liberty, equality, and fraternity. The Frenchman is very active. He is every whit a part and parcel of any government. So for the past 40, 50 years, no prime minister, no president has had the guts to make these very needed changes. France is largely a welfare state. The scale of the welfare is staggering. About 67.2 million people to be on such massive welfare, from accommodation to even transportation, to healthcare, which is 95% free. So something needed to be done. The burden on the government is Herculean. It is so massive, and the government wanted to share out some of these responsibilities, and it is so bad and so sad that the brunt has been fed by the poor, who for them they have grown used to these largesse that government has been giving them for the accommodation, which government pays up to almost 50%, from the like healthcare, like I said before, which is almost free. So many facets of French life is just enjoyment for them. And Macron thought there was time to do something about it. There was time for the average Frenchman to take responsibility for his life. Being a reformist and being a liberal, he thought that this is his destiny to do. And he has taken on the mantle, and he has seen the reaction, and it's beginning to dawn on him why for 40, 50 years, no president has tried to do it.
Anyway, I appreciate it if the presidential director could just please roll the clip so people get to know what we're talking about, what is really going on in France, because a few moments ago, or this morning, if you talk about the time lapses, the president of France came out to give an address the French citizens so that they can just keep calm. So Pete, if you can just roll the clip over us, we will appreciate it. Now let me come to you, Ambassador Amos. He talked about the policies of government, principles of government not being touched for almost 4 decades, and Macron chose to. Or will I say right now, the stop, the beehive, so to speak, was his timing wrong?
No. You know, every government wants to do something new. What we call over here change. Nobody, no country is allowed to remain static or stagnant for too long. And mark you, this protest was started by just two people. Just two people initiated it. Just two people initiated the strike. One is Benjamin Franklin and Jacqueline. Two of them. They said, we don't like it. Might be, to me, what I felt, maybe it might be some people who don't want this guy to, that is Emmanuel, to rule. We say, we don't like his style of government. How can you allow this small boy to be ruling us? Look at what he wants to do. This is how it has been. Rock of Ages. This is how it has been. No, he wants to do this, without allowing him to explain the reason why he wants to do this certain thing. See, one thing about good governance is this: before you make any change, you must let the people know, carry people along, because you are a servant, not a master. You must tell them, this is the reason why we want to do this, and this is how it is. Except there's an executive decision that it's an emergency that must be taking place immediately, that, this change must happen immediately. But like what he said, this thing has been on for some time. An average Frenchman is a rioter. Once they don't like this, they just, one way straight ahead. They go straight ahead. We don't like this, without even understanding this is the reason or why. When you're telling them, calm down, this is the reason why I want to do this, they will tell you, this is how it has been. But at the later on, they'll start appreciating him. But to me, what I felt he is trying to do is to face out this fuel burning of gas and all, whereby we are coming to the era of using electronic system. But to some of them, for now, no, he wants to do this, he wants to give him time.
All right, he should be given time. Okay, we want to go for a break. When we return, we will continue with this because it's all about the unrest in France. And of course, Macron's decision, his actions or inaction, is it really helping out with the situation? We'll be right back after this break. Thank you so much for staying tuned. It's all about what is happening right now in France. The yellow shirt on the street. And Macron is really appealing to them. Stop this protest. Stop this protest. Once beautiful, peaceful country for almost 4 decades. Look at what is happening right now. Now, he gave a reason for Macron increasing the amount of fuel pump price, but it's like that isn't going down too well with an average French citizen. Mentioned two names, Benjamin and Jacqueline. They were the one that really started this protest. Do you see the hands of opposition in this?
Thank you again. There are so many issues today that is plaguing not just France, but the whole of the European Union, and even to a large extent to the whole of the Western, so-called Western societies. And some of these issues are particularly rife and particularly thorny in France. France, as I speak today, is very heterogeneous, and there are so many persons who are not comfortable with that. They think that the identity of France is being lost. They will tell you that France is white and Christian, and that identity of being white and Christian is being assailed by the almost 20 million Arabs or persons of Arab descent today in France. France is home to the largest Muslim community apart from the Middle East and the Far East, where we have India, Bangladesh, and Pakistan. So France is a big thing, and the far right and the National Front of Marine Le Pen and other far right groups like the what they call them now, the Generation ID, yes, or Generation Identity, which is a very vocal voice today in France that wants to see the end to every forms of migration, especially from the Middle East and North Africa, where they think that the future of France itself is at stake and something needed to be done. These are part of the issues today. So that was why and of course, that's just one part. The second other major factor has to do with the dichotomy today in France, in French society, between the urban dwellers, the Parisians, the so-called Parisians, and the rural dwellers. And I tell you, over 95% of the persons you saw on the streets, or you have seen on the streets of France in the past almost a month now, have come. They have been rural dwellers, people who live in far-off country place. They all came to France to demonstrate. And there are so many persons. I was reading of one woman, she's 43, who came to Paris with 4 of her children, and they were in Paris for the very first time. I was wondering, so there are people, there are French citizens who have never been to Paris. They, for the sake of this riot, they came to Paris because they think that Macron is genuflecting before the interest of the rich and to the detriment of the poor. That it thinks that you look around Paris, the beautiful scenes, the flashy cars, the rich culture, and you think that's the whole of France. That it needs to come to the countryside. It needs to come to somewhere in Amiens, somewhere in rural Toulouse, somewhere in far away from Paris, to see the bite of his reforms, to take away the big bonuses that are enjoying accommodation, where government pay a sizable part of their accommodation. It thinks it is easy, that they will not feel it. And they just came to make a point to him that they are feeling the bite, and that he's being insensitive. That by cutting, of course, one of the things he did early last year was to cut what they call the wet tax. France was still one of the few countries in the world that still had the wet tax, where the wealthy, if you own more than 1.2 million euro, you are subjected to a certain amount of tax. So the reformer Macron thought that it was retarding the growth of France. There are so many French billionaires and millionaires were moving out of France because just to avoid the tax. So the first thing he did was to remove that tax. We know about the big French designers, the Givenchy's, the LVMH, LVPMH, that Louis Vuitton, Vuitton, and
yeah.
So that French life, French culture is all about good times, about enjoyment. And he thought that these guys were putting their businesses outside of France because they wanted to avoid these taxes. And he removed those taxes just to encourage employment, to encourage, to open the space for investment. And of course, one of the other early reforms he also did was to retard or to limit the extent to which the trade unions could hold the employers of labor to ransom. Before, France is notorious for having, for it to dismiss a worker in France before Macron came was close to impossible. There were so many safeguards, so many safety nets for the worker, that for a private employer to just dismiss a worker, any of his worker, was extremely difficult. And of course, at the end of it, you have to go to court, and the court will have to tell you to pay a certain amount of money to the employer who you want to put off, and that money can be very unreasonable. Can be like 50 times the amount he was even earning. So one of the things he did was to put a cap to the judgment of the court, the amount the court can give you. He put a certain ceiling to it, just to ensure that people employ people, and people don't think twice before employing, because they think once you employ yourself, like you have shackled yourself, you have entangled yourself, yeah. And to now extricate yourself from it becomes difficult. So these were some of the fine reforms the young man was doing. But while doing this, he saw the future that it will be glorious. But in the meantime, there are problems. I was reading somewhere, was it yesterday, one of those rioters said something that was very metaphorical and very sweet, that, I'm not quoting that, something like this, that our president is thinking about the end of the world. The end of the world in the forms of climate change and all those stuff. That the workers are thinking about the end of the month. How do we survive to the end of the month?
All right. The president thinking about the end of the world. Yeah, thinking about the end of the month.
So, yes, that they have to survive, they have to live.
All right.
Not to bother to the end of the world now.
All right.
So that's some of the issues we have today in France.
Okay.
And the young man is trying to navigate his way through the many portals that are confronting him.
All right, now he has given written news of reasons and of course problems within France and what Macron has been able to do, and that isn't going down too well with so many persons in France. Talking about people from the rural areas of France, and mentioned towns like Amiens, like Toulouse, you know, you just name it. Even it went straight down also to Rennes, like many of the interiors that choose to come to Paris, some of them for the first time, just to air their opinions and of course their view. Do you think that the address given by President Emmanuel Macron had any effect or any impact on the rioters?
You see, when some people made up their mind on some certain issues, no, we are going this way, no matter what, no turning back. They made up their mind for it, that I'm not giving in no matter what he wants to say. Even if he wants to say the truth, I want to give you reasons. You say, no, I don't want to listen, I don't want to listen. It happens to every one of us. He said, this is where I'm going. When I see him today, I'm going to press my anger on him. I'm going to do this. When he started explaining, he said, listen, this is why I'm doing this. It's for our own good. It will help us out. I said, no. Because the way they were taught, the way the message was passed. That's why I said, in a good system or a good governance, before you implement any policy, about to sensitize the people, let them see the reason why you want to do it. Let them feel, I have us in mind before any other thing. It is when you don't carry them along, you want to say, tomorrow, Fed pound is going to be so and so amount. Next thing you see, even those that have already will not start holding it. Even if you don't have, you're going to look for jerrycan, that fuel price will soon go up. You start going panic buying. But by the time you let them know, this is the reason why we want to increase this. But if it is for sort of our revenue or our income will be this, we say, no, we don't want that one. This is what we want first. So, okay, if you don't want it, we'll all go with it. But at this case, you want to make them to understand. That's why you asked a question a few minutes ago that, are you sure your position don't have
a hand in
it? It can be. It can be. Because when they see, I'll tell you, France is making progress. Because this president, Emmanuel Macron, he has what it takes. He's of the new generation. But the older one will say, no, this guy is trying to pull our legs, he's trying to bring us out, he's trying to do something we don't want. How can you imagine the government paying you more than 50% of your
house rent?
And you are still working. And there are some of them who will say, even when finding it difficult for you to lay off staff, a staff might come to the office and say, I don't want to work today, I just want to relax. Because you know you cannot kick him out. So by the time you say, what do we do? They will say, sir, this policy is not working, it's not helping matters. And that's why I say, okay, let's change this mentality. Let's give it to this, let's start with this. And some people don't want to listen. So that is why in every good government must listen to the yearnings of the people. But at times it must be hard. There are times you take some drastic decision that you know, let's feel the pain for a while. Then we can get off it. Just like this election we are coming up now. Election is around the corner. We're preaching about vote buying, preaching about against vote buying. Don't buy vote. Let's listen, let's vote for somebody that is credible, somebody that can rule us well, somebody that can have the people at heart. They'll tell you, make it give me the one where they eat. I want to see now. Then tomorrow can take care of itself. Then when you now elect the wrong person, you'll now be saying, hey, I'm suffering. Who will you blame?
Right.
Because they believe there's hope in the land. But you tell the person, bear it just for a while. I think despite we've been preaching about, don't sell your votes, don't collect money from anybody, they'll tell you, you're just talking your own.
No, so that's what is happening right now in France?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I'll come back to you, Ambassador Amos. Now, Osazuwa, the French president came out to make a statement. He was appealing to their conscience. It was like, you going on a riot, you're right, it's legitimate. The same question I threw at him, I want to throw it at you. Is it going to assuage them? Is it going to really massage their anger to bring it down to bare minimum? Or they will continue until the necessary, according to them, is done by reverting the fuel pump price?
Thank you again, Winston. I will answer you. And if I'm debating quickly, coming back to answer you, but I need to put certain things in perspective.
All right.
You see, it is said that you don't know what you have until you don't know the value of something you have until you lose it. You see, the French today, they're in paradise. Paradise in the most absolute sense of the word, paradise. They are eating their cakes and they're having it, and they don't even know it. They are accustomed to bailouts, to governments doing almost everything for them, and they think it is so everywhere. Let me tell you something. The per capita income today in France is about $34,600, which is almost at par with those of the United States, which is one of the highest in the European Union zone. The average French person is taking home about 36,000 euro, and the average American is taking about 38,000, let's say, euro too, for the sake of our analysis. The American guy does not get the kind of government support that the average Frenchman gets, but they earn almost the same thing. We hear today the thorny issue in U.S. politics about the Obamacare, about how Trump has done everything he could to upturn the legacy. What is Obamacare? What is about the affordable health care? It's not free. It's affordable because it is being subsidized to some reasonable extent by the state to make it affordable to the least well-off person in the society so that they can access good health irrespective of their financial background. The Frenchman does not worry himself about his health care. It's almost free. And yet he's still getting almost the same money with the average American, and yet he doesn't know it. I have had reason to quote ROD Lang on this platform more than twice. On this platform, when he talked about you not knowing that that the issue is that we fail to notice that we are failing to notice, and that there is so little we can do to change until we notice how that failing to notice shapes our thoughts and deeds. That is it. They don't know what they have. They don't know what they are enjoying. Because government has been doing certain things for you, they think government should continue to do those things, irrespective of the present economic realities. And we have this young man who is thinking about the future of France. That France would have been better than where she is today. She's the second largest economy in the world in terms of per capita income today. Instead of that, in terms of gross domestic product, GDP, and she's the 10th largest in the world in terms of the amount of money you take home. So, but if those shackles were not ordinarily on the neck of the government, if for these decades and even centuries this strong welfarist package has not been there, you imagine what the place that France would have occupied in the Community of Nations today. The man is trying to shake off the burden that government have been shouldering for so many times, for so many years, and people are not comfortable with it. Of course, they should not be comfortable because this is something they are accustomed to. It's a way of life that they are used to, and the slightest change must bring a massive reaction like we have seen today. Of course, again, we also have the issue of the National Front of Marine Le Pen, the far-right group, that is telling all who cares to listen that France should be white and Christian. In today's world of globalization, where we have almost 4 million Algerians in France, only Algerians alone, how can France still be white and Christian? What happened to the 6% of French citizens who are of Muslim background? So these are some of the issues, and those politicians, they are trying to take, it is populism, like what Trump is doing, trying to appeal to the base emotions of the majority of persons, who is telling you that, look, we could be better today if not for this Arabs that are here.
Okay.
Not minding that they could have been better if not that the government have been carrying all their responsibility. They are not seeing it from that side.
Right.
That if government, if we can bear some responsibilities for our life and allow government to progress to put away these shackles, that would have been better. No, they won't see it. They will tell you that the reason there's hardship today is because the Arab guy that is around.
What about the speech given by the president? Is it going to pass? Can it be no
yes,
them from doing this?
The average French, I'm talking about what they call minimum wage. It's about $1,200 as we speak now. That's per month. The young man has added about $100 to it to make it $1,300 as part of the palliatives. We are talking about minimum wage, that nobody should earn less than that. And I tell you, very few persons in France earn 1,300 euro. The average is about 2,800, 3,000, 4,000. But just this threshold, that it doesn't get worse than this, he has put about 100 euro to it. But the fact remains that some persons will not be content. This is not just riots. There are so many undercurrents. Right. And part of it that we have discussed is the issue of those far-right persons who is not comfortable at all with any person that is not white and that is not Christian.
All right, now would this riot affect Macron's political image, Ambassador Amos?
Not really. Not really. You know, there is no government that has ruled France without any riot. None. Right from the session of all of them, they've always been one thing or the other. Now, his own is for him to tell the people, let them see reason with him. He's trying to tell them, by the time those two key figures, the principal players that always instigate people, oh yeah, let's go, it's time, let's hit the streets. What they are doing is not good. Get those, just as of today, he's calling meeting with all leaders, all party leaders, political leaders, all of them. Let's have a dialogue. Let us discuss the way forward. He wants to bring everybody along. Let us go together. And that is one thing I see about a good leader, carrying everybody along. Okay, now you want to do this. I'm not sure they've not inflated the price. He just told them by tomorrow we are going to let's increase the price. That's why I said he would have told them, sensitize them before now. Oh, so and so day. Before he now postponed it to January. He now said January will start before this one started going on. So that is why they must, I believe, he will have some backings from international community. Look, we are supporting you. This is what it is. This is, I believe you. It's for him to convince the people, tell the people. That's one thing about politics, convincing the people that this is why I'm doing this. If it's not okay, we can shave it down. But if it's okay, let's forge ahead.
All right, if it's okay, let's forge ahead. Is it going to affect the political image of Macron? He said no, that seems to be the way of an average French man, that the image will remain intact. And moreover, people were carried along in this new policy by Macron. If they were carried along, how come they're protesting?
I will answer you again. Let's ask ourselves, who is Macron? Where is he coming from? Macron is a nobody in quotes, when it comes to French politics. He came out of nowhere. Nobody gave him a chance. That he had zero chance of clinching the presidency until he did. Nobody thought it could happen. The big, weak politicians, they don't like him. Macron ran on the platform of a liberal reformer, who told everybody who cared to listen that these reforms, that he has the willpower, that he has the guts to not just to initiate these reforms, but to see them to a logical conclusion, that things needed to change in France. And that was the platform upon which he ran, and he won. And he thought, and he still thinks that all he's doing is just to fulfill his electoral, the core of his electoral promises, reforms. But like we have seen, when people talk about reforms, when you hear it, it sounds nice. But when you begin to see the the downside of it. You begin to understand why you cannot no longer have those long short means that you used to have. Why you need to cut back on your picnics. That every weekend, maybe you used to watch PSG play every weekend. After watching PSG, maybe you also watch Monaco or you watch Lille. But now you can only watch PSG because you want to cut your cost. When this begins to dawn on you, you start reacting. That's what the French people are doing. They know that there is need for some sort of reforms, that the state cannot continue to shoulder those responsibilities it has been shouldering for these decades. But now that the reform has started, they are uncomfortable. Again, today, to answer your question, Macron's popularity is just about 30%. When you want to, I don't see him as being for the rich. I see him as very pragmatic. But the average French person, they not think, based on where he's also coming from, he came from one of the oldest and largest banks in France, the Rothschild Bank, which is owned by one of the oldest Jewish families bank in the world. They see him essentially as a banker, and that all he's doing is to favor his former employees and to favor the rich. And the rich are very, very few compared to the majority of persons who are poor. But some poor persons, some middle-class persons still see him as their champion, that he has a future for France. What is the alternative to Emmanuel Macron? The alternative is Marine Le Pen, and nobody wants to contemplate that alternative.
Marine Le Pen, nobody wants to contemplate that alternative. Okay, our time is up. Now we have a minute each to call it a wrap on this discourse. What advice you have for Macron, French citizen, and of course, what can Africa really learn from this? Because in some climes in Africa, some countries, no matter how they increase the fuel pump price, life goes on. Briefly, please.
Yeah, because they should be ready to accept these new policies, ready for changes. If it does not work, it can be reversed. But if it's good to go, then why?
All right. They should accept it.
Yes, to me, it's okay.
All right. You're speaking like a Nigerian. Yeah. Okay. Barrister, briefly.
Yes. To quickly digress about the comparison to African.
1 minute.
Yeah. You see, here in Africa, there is no yardstick for you to make any informed decision unless you are talking from. You can't really be fair. You can't really be fair when you make certain discussions. You must be talking based from your ethnicity, or talking based from your party affiliation, or talking based on your regionalism. So that's why it's so difficult for us to say the increased fuel here, we should go to the street. So if the person that is there is a Yoruba person, the Yoruba people, they will not, no matter how unjust the fuel increase, they won't go out. They will see him as one of their own. So Nigeria is not yet a country in that sense. We still have this very pathetic issue of where we come from, our religion, our background, and it makes things so complicated, and there's no really platform for us to make a discussion based on that.
Thank you so much. Our time is up. Let's see if that speech by France President Emmanuel Macron will make them to calm down. Until then, we'll keep reporting back to you. It's bye for now.